1971, at Stanford University, a psychologist named Philip Zimbardo decided to run a bold and honestly pretty shocking experiment. He wanted to understand one thing. What happens when ordinary people are given power over others? Can power alone turn good people into oppressors? In the early 1970s, a time marked by social change and a growing curiosity about the human mind, a groundbreaking psychological experiment was about to unfold at Stanford University. The man behind this experiment, Dr. Philip Zimbardo, was determined to explore the depths of human behavior under the influence of power and authority. To do this, he needed a group of participants who were not only physically healthy, but also mentally stable, ensuring that the results would not be skewed by pre-existing conditions. After a careful selection process, Zimbardo chose 24 college students from a pool of over 70 applicants. These young adults, all attending Stanford or nearby colleges, were eager to participate, drawn by the promise of payment and the intrigue of being part of a real scientific study. Each student underwent rigorous psychological testing and interviews to confirm their emotional stability and overall well-being. Only those who passed these assessments were invited to join the experiment, ensuring that the group represented a cross-section of ordinary, well-adjusted individuals. Once the final group of 24 was assembled, the next step was to assign roles. To maintain fairness and eliminate any bias, Zimbardo and his team used a random selection process. Each participant's name was placed into a hat and roles were drawn at random. Half of the students were assigned to play the role of prison guards, while the other half would become prisoners. This randomization was crucial. It meant that no one could claim that the guards were naturally more aggressive or that the prisoners were inherently submissive. The fate of each participant was left entirely to chance, mirroring the arbitrary nature of real-life power dynamics. The students who became guards were given uniforms, sunglasses to prevent eye contact, and wooden batons as symbols of authority. The prisoners, on the other hand, were issued simple smocks with identification numbers, rubber sandals, and stocking caps to simulate the dehumanizing experience of incarceration. The transformation was immediate and striking. The students began to adopt their new identities, some with excitement, others with apprehension. The guards, now dressed in their uniforms, stood taller and spoke with new-found authority, while the prisoners shuffled nervously, already feeling the weight of their assigned roles. The experiment was designed to last 2 weeks, with the guards working in shifts to maintain a sense of realism. The prisoners were to be confined around the clock, subjected to the rules and routines established by the guards. Zimbardo instructed the guards to maintain order, but gave them no specific guidelines on how to do so, allowing them to improvise and create their own systems of control. This lack of direction was intentional, as it would reveal how ordinary people might behave when given unchecked power over others. The participants were told that they could leave the experiment at any time, but they were also encouraged to fully immerse themselves in their roles, blurring the line between simulation and reality. With the roles assigned and the stage set, the next step was to create a convincing environment that would reinforce the psychological impact of the experiment. Zimbardo and his team transformed the basement of the Stanford Psychology building into a makeshift prison. They constructed barred doors and small cells using plywood and steel bars to mimic the look and feel of a real detention facility. The hallway was converted into a common area, and a small closet was designated as the hole, a solitary confinement cell for punishing rule breakers. The environment was carefully designed to strip away the participants' sense of individuality and freedom, replacing it with the cold, impersonal atmosphere of a real prison. The researchers installed surveillance cameras and intercoms to monitor every interaction, ensuring that no detail would go unnoticed. The basement, once a place of learning and collaboration, was now a stark, intimidating space where the boundaries between reality and simulation would soon blur. As the students entered the basement, the transformation was complete. The guards took their positions, ready to enforce the rules, while the prisoners were led to their cells, stripped of their personal belongings and identities. The stage was set for one of the most infamous psychological experiments in history, a study that would challenge our understanding of authority, obedience, and the human capacity for cruelty and compassion. The experiment was about to begin, and no one could predict just how far the participants would go in their new roles, or how deeply the experience would affect them. The world would soon witness the power of the situation to shape behavior for better or for worse. At first, everyone thought it was just a role-playing game. But after only 2 days, everything started to spiral out of control. The guards began to change. They became cruel, aggressive, humiliating the prisoners and punishing them harshly. And the prisoners, they broke down emotionally, crying, begging to leave, as if it was a real prison. Zimbardo was shocked. The experiment, which he had meticulously planned to run for a full 2 weeks, was unraveling at a pace no one could have predicted. What began as a controlled academic study quickly spiraled into a psychological nightmare, with the boundaries between role-play and reality blurring in disturbing ways. From the very first day, the atmosphere inside the simulated prison grew tense. The guards, empowered by their assigned roles and the anonymity of their uniforms, began to assert their authority in ways that surprised even themselves. Meanwhile, the prisoners, stripped of their identities and subjected to arbitrary rules, started to show signs of emotional distress. Zimbardo, observing from behind the scenes, initially believed these reactions were simply part of the experiment's design, evidence of how quickly people adapt to new roles. But as the days passed, the situation escalated far beyond his expectations. By the second day, the guards had begun to enforce increasingly harsh punishments for minor infractions. Prisoners were made to perform exhausting physical tasks, endure verbal humiliation, and even face solitary confinement in a tiny, dark closet. Some guards seemed to relish their newfound power, inventing new ways to exert control, while others simply went along, swept up in the group dynamic. The prisoners, on the other hand, became withdrawn, anxious, and in some cases, openly rebellious. Several broke down in tears, pleading to be released. One participant suffered a severe emotional collapse and had to be removed from the study altogether. Zimbardo watched all of this unfold with growing alarm. He had not anticipated the speed or intensity with which the participants would internalize their roles. The line between simulation and reality was vanishing. The guards, who were ordinary college students just days before, were now acting with a level of cruelty that was both shocking and deeply unsettling. The prisoners equally were losing their sense of self, becoming passive and hopeless. As the experiment entered its sixth day, the situation reached a breaking point. A visiting researcher, Christina Maslach, was horrified by what she witnessed and confronted Zimbardo directly, questioning how he could allow such abuse to continue. Her reaction forced Zimbardo to step back and truly see the psychological harm being inflicted on the participants. It was a moment of reckoning. Realizing the ethical boundaries had been crossed, Zimbardo made the difficult decision to terminate the experiment immediately. The study, which was supposed to last 2 weeks, was shut down after just 6 days. The psychological and emotional toll on everyone involved was undeniable. Zimbardo was left to grapple with the consequences of his research, and the world would soon be forced to confront uncomfortable questions about human nature, authority, and the capacity for cruelty under the right circumstances. The Stanford Prison Experiment would go down in history, not just for its findings, but for the profound ethical dilemmas it exposed. Zimbardo's shock was not just at the behavior of his subjects, but at his own role in allowing the situation to escalate. The lessons learned from those 6 days would shape the future of psychological research and forever change our understanding of the human mind. The result? The experiment revealed a dark truth. Power can corrupt anyone. Even the kindest person, when given unchecked authority, can turn into a tyrant. Since then, the Stanford Prison Experiment has become one of the most controversial psychological studies in history. A mirror reflecting the dark side of human nature. If this story fascinated you, and you found yourself drawn into the world of psychological experiments and the mysteries of human behavior, then you're in the right place. The world of psychology is filled with stories that are not only intriguing, but also deeply impactful. Stories that have shaped the way we understand ourselves and the people around us. By subscribing to this channel, you'll join a community of curious minds who are passionate about exploring the hidden forces that drive our actions, our thoughts, and our emotions. Every week, we dive into groundbreaking experiments, untold stories from the annals of psychological research, and the real-life implications these studies have on our daily lives. So, if you want to keep uncovering the secrets of the mind, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the like button to let us know you're enjoying this journey. Your support helps us bring more fascinating content to you, and it tells us that you're as excited as we are to keep exploring the depths of human psychology. But that's not all. Your voice matters here. I want to hear from you. The comment section is a space for us to connect, to share ideas, and to debate the ethical dilemmas and surprising outcomes that these experiments often present. Have you ever wondered how you might have reacted if you were a participant in one of these studies? Or maybe you have your own theories about why people behave the way they do, under pressure, in groups, or when faced with authority. Share your thoughts, your questions, and your experiences in the comments below. I read every single one, and your insights often inspire future videos and discussions. In fact, I'm always looking for new topics to explore, and your suggestions help shape the direction of this channel. So, let's start a conversation. Should the next video be about the Milgram experiment and the chilling reality of blind obedience to authority, a study that shocked the world and forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature? Or are you more interested in the little Albert experiment, where a young child's fear was conditioned in a way that still sparks debate among psychologists and ethicists today. The choice is yours, and I can't wait to see which topic sparks the most curiosity and conversation. Whether you're fascinated by the power of authority and the lengths people will go to obey, or you're intrigued by the origins of fear and how our earliest experiences can shape us for life, your input will help decide what to explore next. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Together, we'll continue to unravel the mysteries of the mind, one experiment at a time. Thank you for being part of this journey, and stay curious.